All right, ladies and gentlemen, tribe members and guests, let's talk about fat. In particular, I have three things that I want to talk about. Number one, I want to talk about weight loss, the type of weight loss we want and the type of weight loss we don't want. Number two, I'm going to talk about fat loss, when we burn the most fat and when we burn the least fat. And then number three, I'm going to talk about your biggest mistake and what's holding you back and why fat loss could be potentially extremely difficult for you. All right, so a lot of you have been on a weight loss journey, and a lot of you have probably had a lot of success with weight loss. But there are a lot of you who are not really happy with the results that you've gotten, even though you've lost a lot of weight. Now, some of you can be a mental thing, but a lot of you is a thing with measurements, right? Maybe your measurements really haven't changed much like you'd like them to. And that's because not all weight loss is good weight loss. If you just focus on just losing weight in general, that's not the magic answer, right? Because there's good weight loss and then there's bad weight loss. And a lot of you do a lot of bad weight loss. And bad weight loss is when you lose bone density and muscle, right? The good weight loss is when you drop water and body fat. So the key is to gain muscle mass, retain that muscle mass while dropping body fat and water, right? That's what you really want. You want more of the muscle, less of the fat. So if you can train a specific way that benefits you in that way, then you can start seeing drastic changes in your measurements, right? In your physique. And it's not all just about the number on the scale. Now I'm gonna give you an example. Let's say we have two people, both the same weight. Let's say 160 pounds, right? Both of those people drop 5 pounds. They drop 5 pounds, both of them, right? The only difference is one who dropped the 5 pounds, they didn't gain any muscle. They lost some fat and they lost some water, but they didn't gain any muscle. And then one person, they put on muscle and dropped fat and water. The one who put on the muscle and dropped the fat and water is going to look drastically different than the other one. And their measurements are going to be drastically different. Now, people who have trained with me, within 4 to 6 weeks, they've seen where they've lost 2 to 3 inches on their waist in just a month to a month and a half, right? Now that's a big deal because a lot of people, they'll lose some off the chest, they'll lose some off their thighs, they'll lose some off their hips, and not really much off of their waist, right? They're not losing that visceral fat and all the fat that clings to their organs in their midsection. And so they're not really happy with their measurements. That's why you want to put on the muscle and drop the body fat, okay? When you put on the muscle, it's going to broaden out your shoulders, it's going to broaden out your upper body here. It's going to tuck in the waist, right? Because as you gain that muscle around the torso, it's going to pull everything in like a corset. And as you build muscle in your glutes and your hamstrings and your quads, you're going to get that X figure, where now you're going to be more curvy. Now you're going to have a stronger build and really fit into your clothes a lot better. Plain and simple, you have front end energy and back end energy. Front end energy is what fuels your workouts. That is your carbohydrates, and your carbohydrates break down into glucose. That's what fuels your workouts. So understand that when you're training, you're in the gym training intensely and all of that, you're using your carbohydrates. This is not the period where you drop a whole lot of body fat. This is where you really burn through your carbohydrates, or your glucose, I should say, right? Now you have back end energy. That's the energy that's used after your workout, during your recovery, during your rest, and when you sleep at night. That is where your body fat comes in. That is where you use and metabolize the most amount of fat, right? So a lot of people think that you're actually burning fat during your workout. You're burning fat after your workout on the back end. Now, for those of you who are extremely dedicated, you're hardcore about it, you're in the gym busting your ass, right? I want you to ask yourself a quick question. How much do you prioritize your training over your recovery? How much do you prioritize your recovery at all, right? Now, for us hardworking people, rest and recovery, sometimes we really don't get much sleep at night because we got this busy work schedule, right? I feel you on that. But I want you to ask yourself, how much time do you spend in the gym? How hard do you work in the gym on a scale of 1 to 10? And is your recovery matching that work? You see? The biggest mistake that I see people make is they want it so badly that they will give 200% in the gym during their workout. But their rest and recovery, they barely prioritize. They don't sleep enough, they don't eat enough, they're not taking enough rest days, different things like that, right? Now, I talked about front end energy and I talked about back end energy. Now, understand, if you're going balls to the wall in the gym training hard, you go and you do a half an hour on the treadmill, then you do 15 minutes on the elliptical, then you go over to the weight area, you do 30 minutes of lifting, you're doing all this work, right? You're burning through all your carbs, you're burning through all your glucose, right? And then you start breaking down muscle and really fatiguing the crap out of the body and your nervous system. So you're putting a tremendous amount of stress on the body. Now, when you combine that to a limited amount of recovery, right? A lack of sleep where you're only sleeping 2, 4, 5 hours a night, right? You got to get up real early and you're exhausted. You're not having enough rest days. You're killing yourself, right? And you're keeping yourself from seeing the results that you want. Now, understand, muscle does not grow during your workout. I don't care how much of a pump in the muscle you get. I don't care how hard you work the muscle. It does not grow during your workout. Muscle grows at rest. Muscle grows during recovery, when you sleep at night, right? When you rest, that's when you drop the most amount of body fat, and that's when you gain the most amount of muscle. If you're limited on your rest and recovery, that means you're limited on your body fat use, and you're limited on your muscle growth. This is what's holding you back. All right, y'all, so I'm gonna give you the answer. For those of you struggling, right, doing that hour and a half, 2 hours, absolute murder session, dripping, drenched, soaking wet, trying to lose that body fat, I challenge you, take that same 200% intensity, and rather than applying it over this long duration, let's chop it down. Let's try to condense that workload into 7 to 15 minutes, all right? Go hard for that 7 to 15 minutes, right? Chop it down to 20, bring it to 15 minutes, 12, 10, and finally 7, right? And so you're gonna go non-stop hardcore for that 7 minutes, all of your intensity right there. Preferably at the end of your workout, you wanna do this. Because understand, there's a lot more to training than just losing weight and body fat and going hard, high intensity in the gym. We still gotta work on posture. We still gotta work on mobility. We still gotta work on strength gain, all of that, right? Because we wanna be functional. We don't wanna just be less fat. We wanna improve overall. We wanna cover all of our bases. And that's how we become whole. Ladies and gentlemen, that is my time. I will see you in the next video.